Here I come.
Smooth lead.
You're goddamn right.
Quentin, for this, I think it's his most personal. I'm a big fan of movies that are about Hollywood culture. I love Singing in the Rain, for example. But this is a very unique take on Hollywood because he takes it from the perspective of two guys that are outsiders. You know, Brad and I are in a changing culture, a changing industry. The industry is sort of going into the long-haired sort of hippie types, and we're a product of the 50s, and we're out of work. And Sharon Tate happens to be my neighbor, and all of a sudden I see a new opportunity. But I just love that it's almost like, you know, we're voyeurs to a changing culture. And what Quentin does so well is just bring a sense of reality. Even though there's this almost fairy tale aspect to what he does, hence the name Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it is based in a lot of real fact and a lot of Hollywood history. And I think people will love a great art film on this scale about our industry.
The beautiful thing about this one, it seems to be a confluence of all his films. Like there's a little bit of the vernacular from Jackie Brown to Pulp to Bastards to Django. It's all, it seems like accumulation of everything. It's pretty wonderful.
I don't know if any other film coming out this summer is an original, and this isn't a sequel, prequel, remake. This is a completely original, genius idea out of Quentin's brain, and you just never know what you're going to get with that.
Oh, God, it's such a deep dive. It's one of these movies that keeps giving. Days after the movie's over, you keep thinking about it. I saw it a while back, and I'm still thinking about it, and it's not one thing in particular. It's just an incredible experience.
It's a once upon a time in Hollywood experience. It's something that you've never seen before, and I mean, Quentin makes such legendary films that last a lifetime.
To my right is Bounty Law Series lead and Jake Cahill himself, Rick Dalton. And to my left is Rick's stunt double, Cliff Booth.
Our characters are kind of two sides of the same coin. He's my stunt double, yet we developed this very unique relationship that helps us navigate our own survival. And it's from the brilliant mind of Quentin Tarantino to put all these different pieces together.
We just fit. I mean, that's usually the way it is, you know? We just seem to fit. So it made sense to both of us, and we got started and running, and it's been great since.
You just don't often get Butch and Sundance in the same movie, and what that means is both of their parts have to be fantastic, and that's what you get with a great writer like Quentin.
It wouldn't have worked if they both hadn't have responded to the characters, you know. So people would say, "Hey, did you have them in mind?" They go, "Well, yeah, I had them in mind, but I didn't know I was going to be that lucky."
I think they really both wanted to do the parts and to work together and to work with Quentin. They both had worked separate with Quentin before. Brad was in Inglourious Bastards, and Leo was in Django Unchained, so they loved working with him. And the three of them together, along with Margot, is magic.
It's something I think we were all been waiting for. It's like the one movie that brought our two biggest legends of our time together. And I think it's just all that mysterious glamour that Hollywood had in that decade, in the 60s, that we kind of lost. And I think Brad and Leo have been able to sort of keep that alive in a world where everything is so exposed. So I think there's a lot of us as fans that are wondering, oh my God, what are they like together in a movie? And I got to kind of experience it, so it's a pretty big trip.
I think this movie just kind of transports you to 1969, and it was wild, and it was fun, and it was cool, and yeah, it's just a fun ride, really fun.
It's a movie for movie lovers, you know, and nobody loves movies more than Quentin Tarantino. I mean, yeah, it's kind of just a celebration of everything that he loves and of Hollywood, and it's very fun.
You're in for a ride of a lifetime, especially if the LA fans, because you're going to see something that your folks grew up with, you know.
This is his love letter to Hollywood and to an age that we actually haven't really celebrated before. And I think that every time you watch a Quentin movie, there's so much you learn about other films, and in this one there's even more films to learn about. So even when you think you're not learning about a movie, you may be. And this is his most personal movie that is from his days of growing up in Hollywood.
Line.
I can't think of a time where I've ever seen this kind of ensemble come together for a movie, and it takes a filmmaker like Quentin for that to happen. But I'll never forget the table read looking around. It's like Al Pacino, Dakota Fanning, Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, the list was endless, and everyone's wonderful. But yeah, the cast is just insane.
It was so much fun. It was so much fun. They were all so nice, and Quentin was so creative, and they were all there working together, all in it together, really. It was a family.
Just getting to work with Brad is a career milestone for me. Had a lot of fun with him. You know, Margot is Margot, Leo is Leo, Kurt is Kurt. We could go on, but you know, leave it to Quentin to assemble this super team. I feel honored that I get to speak Quentin's dialogue. I'm sure they feel the same way.
I got lucky. It's the casting cue of the decade, if you ask me, if not the generation. If Margot didn't say yes, or if Margot's mother never met Margot's father and she didn't exist, I don't know what the hell I would have done. Because, I mean, she was just perfect. I can't imagine anybody else playing the part other than her.
Quentin. I mean, the man is able to sit back for years at a time, and it's almost like a collage of different ideas, encounters that he has, stories that he hears, and he somehow puts all this stuff together and gives us as an audience, no matter what they think of the movie, they know they're in for an incredibly unique experience every time they go, and that's why people keep coming back.
He loves movies more than anyone I've ever met. He's seen every movie you could ever think of, and he knows every detail of what made them amazing, and he loves why they succeeded and he loves why they didn't, and he's just a huge fan. And there's no one better to make something than someone who loves it.
I'm here tonight because I loved working with Quentin. I loved being in this film.
I feel with all of Quentin's films, like what resonates with me the most is just the detail, and he's able to bring you into such a world with all of his films, whatever that world may be. I think that's one of the most amazing things about it.
Well, Quentin has a boundless imagination and an irrepressible talent. He is incredible, and he's one of the great writers and directors of our generation of all time. And so, you know, he approaches storytelling in his own unique way, creates the most vivid, vital characters that actors want to play, and makes films that have stood and will stand the test of time.
Not only is he forensic in sort of picking up, showing an audience a specific time period in a certain culture, mixed with fairy tale, mixed with sort of this, I don't know how to describe it, but this sort of tableau of memory that he has. All these things sort of fit in a very unique way that you don't see in modern filmmaking. And that's why it's so incredibly exciting to work on his movies, because there's this unexpected nature. Every day you're on set, you don't know what exactly is going to happen. And everyone feels incredibly energized and excited to be there because there's the great unknown. But we had the benefit with these characters of getting this incredibly rich backstory. We had an entire history together that he wrote for us. So even though it's a sort of day in the life of these two sort of outcasts of Hollywood that are trying to fit their way into a changing culture and a changing industry, there was an immediate familiarity with who these people were because we knew so much about our past. It was so easy to fit in those shoes.
And I was surprised how loose you are on the day. I mean, because the scenes are so specific and so well orchestrated, you would think they have to be planned out. I would think they'd have to be planned out to the end. And yet, still when we get there on the day, there's a total looseness and freedom, like a trust in what you're going to capture that day within the confines of the...
Well, you know, that actually kind of is one of the benefits of you know, having a career that spans more than 20 years, is at a certain point, you know, you have your big set pieces, and they probably have to be right on, you know, but other than that, it's like, yeah, I don't think about shot lists or anything until I get to the set that day.
Was Reservoir that same way? Or did you come out?
Well, eventually it was. First, because it was, wow, this is the first time I'm ever going to do a movie, so I had to have everything shot list just so everyone would have trust in me. But it was a 5-week shoot. Somewhere mid-third week, I started leaving my shot list at home. I started feeling comfortable enough now to just to rehearse the scene and figure out the shots from that point on. And from that point on, that's always kind of how I do it. I mean, when you see us handing around shot lists and stuff, I wrote them that morning. Mm. You know, normally it's a situation where it's like, if we run through a dialogue scene before I send you guys to the chair, all right, so we do it, and like, okay, go to the chair, and then I sit down at a table and I lay out the shots. Okay, give it to Bill. Okay, this is what we're doing today.
I have to admit something.
What?
I have one of those.
Oh, this is
you wrote something. You gave me a DVD of an episode of something to watch, and you'd written on the back of that.
Yeah.
And then I was pulling out the DVD the other day, and I pulled out and opened it up, and I was like, oh my God, it's the shot list for the day that we shot. And I was like, if I tell him, will he ask for it back?
No,
Can I
of course
keep
not.
it?
No, I throw them away. You can feel free to have them. I have a few more left over. I'll give it to you.
You know, just so everyone understands, a shot list would be like, okay, we have this scene, and might plan ahead to get one from the back to see the whole environment, and then to get a 2-shot here of Leo and I, and then over my shoulder to get Leo's close-up, and then to get the gang, and that would be a shot list.
Insert of the horse head, insert of the ashtray.
Right. But on the day, it's actually much looser, like he is finding it as he goes. It's more instinctual than you would think watching your films.
We have a little mantra that me and the crew have been doing for a long time, where it's where we say, okay, we've got it, but we're going to do one more. And why are we going to do one more? And then the whole crew screams out, because we love making movies. And we do. We're living a great life that we're just absolutely blessed to live it.
And by the way, everyone does it with no embarrassment.
No,
everyone's
you scream
in.
it at the top of your lungs.
Everyone's in.
You know, honestly, on set, it's kind of like this. It's like a. I don't know, it's like an independent sort of student film, yet at an incredibly high budget with a lot of pressure. Like there's endless possibilities. Although you sort of stick to the Bible of the Tarantino screenplay, he also leaves these openings for anything to sort of happen.
And it's the moments where it's like they enter the party, and then you might spend all night doing this shot where there's a crane and there's this and there's girls dancing, it's choreographed. It's like, it's those small moments which.
That was an particularly magical night. I couldn't even get to bed that night.
I was just so jazzed after the paper. It was so fun. And then you stop every 100 rolls of film and celebrate and have a drink and have a little party, and no one else does that. You can't do that.
One of the things Brad said earlier today that I couldn't agree with more is the idea that this is our lives. So as important as it is that we try to do movies that we care about and we put all our hope into, and hopefully we have good results at the end, as important is the experience of making the movie, because this is our lives. So if we're going to dedicate months and in some cases years to something, then we owe it to ourselves to enjoy it. We owe ourselves to appreciate it, to really have a great time. Everybody on the set, this is their life, so let's live it.
That was the best acting I've ever seen in my whole life.
Like you.